Okay, we should be live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play Apocalypse Keys.
Apocalypse keys.
I am Christiana Ellis, and I am the Keeper of Doors. Our players tonight, Millie Katie as Lady Dana,
Hello.
Paul Weimer as Ningle,
Listeners and watchers, the Adventures Division's Omen class monster team continues in the Philippines featuring me, Ningle.
David Archambault as Pandorum,
Now that's not something that you want to see ever.
hmm. and Jason Banks as Myron.
What delicacies will we get to try today?
So, we are down Nobilis this week. He is traveling. Good for him, sad for us, but we will be proceeding. Thankfully, we have Millie back. So, we will be resolving that conundrum in story in just a moment. But when last we left our monsters, they had deployed to the Philippines, and in the capital city of Manila, there is a specific building that was built in the 60s as migrant housing, but has since become the primary location for a community of Manananggal, which are a particular kind of monster that appears much like a human in its, in their normal form, but when they feel secure and comfortable enough, they can extend bat-like wings from their back. And if they are even further comfortable, they can actually leave their lower half behind and fly up as just a torso with torso, head, and arms with wings. And they, many of them live in this one small community within this building. And unfortunately, they have been targeted. There have been 3 deaths so far wherein Manananggal would go missing. They would have left their lower halves behind, but then just not returned, only to be found days later, having been torn apart by something with enormous strength. And so the monsters of division have been deployed to assist Sister Teresa of the Sisters of the Broken Crucifix with this mystery. And so you've obtained a few clues so far. In particular, you've uncovered 3 keys for this apocalypse mystery. One is that in examining one of the discovered victims, you found that the heart and liver had been removed, and in the heart's place, you found what was once a stone sacred figurine of a Manananggal, but it had clearly been defaced, like not merely broken, but someone had gone to some effort to destroy it in meaningful ways, as opposed to just being broken in a more typical way. You also found a psychic impression of that victim having made some sort of a magical promise not to tell, I won't tell anyone, I swear it, to someone. And you had also discovered that for whatever reason, their fear at that moment, the moments just before their death, were not fear of death, but rather fear of rejection. And you also found on the rooftop garden a strange swarm of insects that left blood behind, blood and gore trailing behind where they swarmed. And those led you to part of this rooftop garden where a pair of Manananggal wings, torn from whoever previously owned them and displayed up on a pegboard. And there are a number of other, people that you've met along the way here, but I think that's where we'll leave the recap for the moment. But before we jump back into the immediate present, Lady Dana, it's been
Yeah.
explained that your character finally discovered something that could give you food poisoning.
Yes.
What was it?
Uh, um, I believe it was rotten durian.
Oh,
Whoa.
rotten durian, huh? We could imagine a powerful smell for sure. Well, here's the
Yeah.
question. Does rotten durian smell better or worse than non-rotten durian? I mean, there's probably a real answer to this, but also a subjective one.
Yeah. I, actually, I think it might smell a little bit better. So if that's why it was so curious, it's like, wait,
Mm-hmm.
this doesn't smell quite so bad. Oh,
Yeah.
wait, that's because it's bad.
Yes. For those who are not familiar, durian is a fruit that just smells notoriously bad, and the flavor is, well, let's say debatable. Um, I think.
You have to get past the smell.
Mm-hmm.
And normally, at least in the US, there's a few markets around where I live that actually sell it, but they always sell it frozen
Mm-hmm.
because frozen doesn't release the chemicals of the scent into the air, so it doesn't smell rotten.
So I would say that you the way it was described to the others is that um, the hazmat team and the civil engineers were deployed to assist with the situation. So we don't
Yeah, because definitely
necessarily.
not that comfortable.
Mm-hmm. I just imagine that we don't necessarily need to get into the messy details, so to speak, but certainly um, we can imagine an unpleasant experience for everyone within maybe a quarter-mile radius.
Yeah, not pleasant at all.
Right, right.
Well, a question I have regarding this is, if Formless Enemies Between had showed up and offered to clear out the rotten durian from Lady Dana, would she have accepted? No, no, nothing, no cost, just like, you know, it'll be just as painful, but it'll the food poisoning will be gone.
I don't know. I think part of it is it's since nothing had really affected me since I became a monster.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a novel experience. So I think I might have
Mm-hmm.
wrote it
Sucked
out,
it out.
so to speak.
Mm-hmm. So as we are back in the Philippines here with everybody else that had been deployed, we had Myron and John Deere going down into the basement to inspect the remains of the most recent victim. And I think just as you were preparing to decide where to go next, Myron, John receives a little ping notification and looks at his tablet and then just says, huh, okay. And then a bright white portal opens beneath his feet and he falls into it. At the same time that above him, a separate white portal opens up and deposits Lady Dana right in the same spot where he was. And Lady Dana, you had no idea that this was going to happen. I would imagine you still don't feel great. But now you are
Yeah,
in a completely different place, a dingy, half flooded basement. But Myron is there.
I'm gonna have to ask the Sarge how that works. She's not.
yeah. I Sorry, Myron. I wasn't aware I was being assigned to anything quite so abruptly.
Well, if it is of if it makes you feel any better, we've just only really been investigating a lot of dismembered and desiccated corpses.
Uh, and to find out how they got that way, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
yeah.
All right.
Our friend who disappeared when you arrived had a bloody idol that we took out of the cavity of one.
Who did I replace?
Do you see any other doom and gloomy people around?
Oh,
Well, you also don't see Pandorum or Ningle.
yeah. Still, all right. Well, Dingo's not so much doom and gloom. Pandora is doom and gloom, and likewise John Deere.
Ding, ding,
Or I don't
ding.
know if ah, I also was about to say I didn't know if someone else from had been assigned either. So all right, John was here, and
Yeah, he did a cool thing.
somehow
He did a cool thing with a corpse, and then you appeared. So, but
ah
hopefully Ningle and Pandorum have investigated the other lead. We we've got our associate, the sister outside. She didn't want to see the body. They were close friends.
oh sister.
Mm, I think of probably I think a member of the organization. Um,
Ah,
but
gotcha.
yeah, it's something weird because they were afraid of rejection at the time of this, what happened to them, like looking at the body, like, so it's weird.
Mhm.
Afraid of rejection more than impending death. That is definitely interesting.
Oh, indeed. And as luck would have it, we've lost our connection to death. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, a smaller white portal opens up briefly above Lady Dana, and you have just enough time to look up and catch the small stolen idol that drops out of it just in time for the portal to close.
that's the thing.
All right. That I think might be more of related to John. That might be more related to John's employer than us. But
Hmm,
we'll see.
It's
All
certainly
right.
true, Myron, that you had to take a 14-hour flight
that
in
is true.
a cargo plane to get here.
That is very true. That is very true.
All righty. So, hmm.
We should,
Let's.
yeah. But I think we should
So,
now. I think we should probably try to find the rest of the group and meet up.
Yeah.
Because I
mhm.
think we've got as much as we can get from the dead.
Yeah. So you are in a small sort of basement room right in front of what is clearly the torn apart remains of
All
Manananggal.
right.
And yeah, but has already been examined. So
Mhm.
I think
All right.
before we well, so I guess we'll where do you you know, as you leave that room, Sister Teresa is waiting outside, and I'll put you back on the People map here on Roll20, and so this leftmost character, Sister Teresa, is who awaits you
Okay.
outside. Although when the door opens and Myron comes out with you, she's like, okay, uh, don't
This
mean to
is a
be rude,
friend.
but who are you?
She's a
I'm
friend.
Lady Dana. I'm with Division.
Oh, okay.
Apparently we had a personnel swappage.
Oh, sure. Okay. Okay.
But
Yeah. Well, I'm Sister Teresa. I don't know if you got the briefing. I'm
enough.
yeah. So,
So,
yeah. Uh, where? So, did you get anything useful from the remains?
Oh yeah, we pulled that out of the insides. I point to the idol that Lady Dana's holding.
Do you recognize this?
She says, "Well, it seems like it is intended to depict a Manananggal, but I mean, obviously, someone has chewed it up, or it's just it's been destroyed in some way. It doesn't look like it was originally designed to look this way. Uh, it's kind of awful, but that's it. It was in the body, you said.
Yeah,
The
that
first two victims, I mean, we didn't have anyone where to store them. We, as I mentioned, we can't take them to the police, so we just went ahead and cremated them here. But they didn't have anything like that in them.
Alrighty. Uh,
Fully noted.
Okay.
so what was different about this one, I wonder?
This
So,
sort of
uh, what next? What do you think? I know that um, the other two went to talk to Emily Santos. I know that they're setting up for a karaoke night in the Commons, so there'll be a lot of people there. But I'll remind you to, and looking over at Lady Dana's like, in case they didn't tell you already, we're trying to keep the investigation discreet for now, just because if I'm worried that if it gets out that there's a
Panic is a bad thing.
well, yes, and in particular because a lot of the people who live here don't have anywhere else to go. This is not a friendly city for them anymore, and we have a hard enough time keeping this place safe enough, and so I don't want to lie to them if there's really danger, but also exactly like you said, having everyone panic and flee into the city with nowhere else to go is, could be just as dangerous. So that's why I'm trying to see if we can solve this without, like if it comes to it, we'll tell them, but that's why we haven't yet.
Right.
So yeah, we can't eat anything or anyone yet.
Okay.
Yeah, Sister Teresa says, are you hungry? We could get you some food.
Yeah. I'm actually good for the moment. Thank you, though.
Okay, well, just
And Myron's like, what?
Well, given that Myron knows what she's gone through, probably less surprising.
Yeah. And, and so Myron just kind of like, and besides, I have an eclectic palate. It's fine. I'm sure investigating this will find me something quite delightful to nosh on, but we should probably get back up with everyone else because
Mhm.
pretty sure this karaoke night might not go off as uneventful as planned.
All right.
So meanwhile, we left Pandorum, and Ningle, you were with Pandorum, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the two of you had been interviewing Emily Santos, but then she ran away when the swarm of bugs appeared. Pandorum was able to make relatively short work of the swarm of bugs before it was able to cause much damage, but the remains of them led you to this gruesome display of wings in this plastic tented rooftop garden. You
Right.
can hear the rain still loudly pattering down along the plastic sheeting that covers this little rooftop greenhouse. But here beneath the cover, that had previously obscured them, you see these wings stretched out. What do
Now,
you
the
do?
one set or two sets? I wasn't clear.
It's one set of wings, so
Okay,
it
so
is
what?
both wings.
Okay, okay.
You know, one set, but they're like you know, they're together. They're not like they're connected by tissue. I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Hmm.
that's it. Huh. And is there anything else besides the wings that was concealed under the tarp?
Uh,
Yeah, because we're like in like a little garden shed thingy,
right. It
tent thingy, right?
looks so. What they are affixed to is a pegboard that looks like it has, you know, drawn on it little outlines of where garden tools might normally be put up there, and there is sort of a pile off to one side of the garden tools that you suspect might have previously been there before someone put these up instead.
Hmm. Okay.
Emily Santos ran away.
Yep.
So
We
yeah,
we briefly met Sister Drax.
Sister Dex. Yeah.
Dax, not Drax. Thank you.
Mhm.
Right. We're gonna have to tell Sister Teresa about this Pandorum.
Yes.
This is, I think this is one of the other two missing Madrigal.
Yeah.
I
Manananggal.
go.
Manananggal, thank you. Madrigal. Yeah, Manananggal.
Yeah. And does it look like they were torn off kind of thing?
Yeah, it does. They're you know, as well, you weren't down there inspecting the other body, but what you had heard described was um that they had been torn apart.
Who could
Something of prodigious strength.
who I mean why are these here? Why were they left here? And
Left here mounted here. I have a sneaking suspicion. I think I'm gonna grasp keys to try to figure that out.
Okay. I think if I'm not mistaken, oh
well,
no, never mind. The
finding
key.
this was a result of grasping keys.
Yeah,
Oh, this was the result. Oh, I
so
thought
the
the bugs
wings
were. You're right.
themselves. Well, so yes and no. You had just grasped the keys and gotten the bugs
Yeah.
were one of the keys. But what happened is that you found these wings as a result of the doomsday clock ticking.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you can potentially do the grasp keys move here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to because I have a feeling about this. So I feel this is important. So I'm going to spend 2 darkness tokens
Okay.
and give it a shot.
Okay.
Oh, that is a disastrous success.
Yes. So, with a disastrous success on a grasp keys move, you uncover a key, but there's a significant complication, cost, or fallout. The keeper will tell you what it
Or I
is.
can spend a bond and knock it down to 10.
Oh yes, with an 11, you could spend a bond point to have it just be
Yeah, let's do that.
okay.
So I will knock off my bond with Pandorum. Pandorum probably sees me get raged and all fired up, but having him there helps ground me from going overboard
Mhm.
and possibly something very violent. So that's how I explain the use of the bond to knock me down to a 10.
Mhm. Mhm. Um. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What what you find in addition, like there by the wings, like what are you doing as you investigate? Like I.
I'm circling around. I'm looking at. I'm kind of studying it, almost like as if there's some sort of sacred geometry or ritualistic sort of
Mhm.
arrangement to this whole idea. I'm thinking this is
Maybe
like
also looking for possible identifying marks.
Mhm.
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
particular pair of shoe, prints from shoes or
Mhm.
or claws, or like I can identify. Oh yes, that's the claws. That this shows this is the claws of an X because of the way it got torn off. Yeah.
Mhm. So okay, what you find is actually seems as though it was not an intended part of this display because you find the display and it's definitely like it's a little bit contradictory in the way that it is simultaneously it was hidden away, covered, right? But
Mhm.
also there doesn't seem to be any reason to put wings up in this way except to display them, right? So, what is the purpose of displaying them and then covering the display? Hard to know, right? But the thing that kind of calls your attention is that you realize after giving a second glance to the pile of tools that one of them does not look like it was once part of the normal garden tool set.
Aha.
Because in addition to things like pruning shears and a watering can and a rake and that sort of thing, you see what looks like a dagger with a blood red blade.
Aha.
And your first thought is that this dagger has blood on it, but looking more closely at it, you don't know that it doesn't have blood on it per se, but it does appear that the blade is actually that color. And the thing that other also kind of strikes you, well, so you right now all that's happened is that you that has caught your eye that there seems to be a
Mhm.
dagger with a red blade in the pile of gardening tools.
I'm gonna go slither over and collect collect the evidence
Okay.
very carefully because this thing might be magically dangerous.
Right.
In fact, I'm kind of expecting it might be.
So you're reaching down to pick it up.
Very carefully, yes.
Okay.
Obviously, oh,
Yeah. As you take the handle, it definitely has, fancy designs as you might expect for some kind of a ritual dagger. And the blade does look very sharp, but you are surprised as you move it to hear it sort of cutting through the air even with the slightest movement. In the very same way that if you had a long sword and you whipped it through the air, you would hear it going whoosh, whoosh, right? That sound. This dagger makes that sound even with the slightest movement.
Hmm.
And
Have you?
you find that as you go to say something to Pandorum about that, and you gesture with the blade at the same time, it weirdly like creates a split second break in the sound of your own voice.
Holy cow!
Like it was literally able to slice the acoustic wave of your voice.
I
I just stare at the thing
I'm
and I
gonna
look at
try
Pandora.
something. Gonna form basically like a bubble of stop time.
Okay.
Try and cut cut through this.
All right, I'll keep
Uh, trying to
I like
decide what the
I
answer
like
of that
I
is.
Dagger versus
I would say it's
Pandora.
like either like I would expect like a normal thing would be like it go in and just kind of get stuck.
I think that's still what happens, right? Like this blade does seem to be, perhaps somewhat supernaturally sharp, and yet it does not seem to be immune to time magic.
Well, I figure like it cut through the power kind of
Well,
thing.
that's what I'm saying is
It's
that like its properties seem related to physical
Air.
phenomena. Like it is somehow made impossibly sharp, but that doesn't mean that it cuts through magic, if you follow me, right?
it's
Knowing
physically,
what limits it has is good.
yeah.
Right. In the same way, for example, that a very hot fire wouldn't burn time, right?
Yeah.
Like if you used magic to make a fire extra hot, it doesn't mean that it wouldn't still be stopped by time. But so in any case, though, the other thing that I'll like that you note holding looking at this dagger is not only like so the blade is red, but it doesn't actually look like it has blood on it. And more to the point, the wings on display here, like the flesh is torn. It does not look like it was cut with a supernaturally sharp dagger.
Uh,
Hmm. Well, this obviously not wasn't used on this.
no, but it's still an important part of this. Why was it discarded? What role does it generally have? Questions.
on it. I mean, being part of the pile, it's just a way to get it. You know, I would see it as a way
Carelessness? Was it
to possibly concealed.
concealing it for later, or was the attacker interrupted and decided just to toss it off and leave? We have questions, but this is clearly important.
Yes.
And possibly sharp blades don't grow on trees, you know.
And besides, there doesn't look like there was an outline for it on the pegboard.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was left here by the perpetrator.
I almost want to test to see how well it cuts, but that might be something better
We
done.
need more information before we start
Yeah,
trying with it.
let's go.
It does seem like something you want to be careful with how you handle.
Yes, I mean,
Perhaps. Don't have a box to put it in.
well, maybe there's a little little like garden toolbox or something around in this place that I can just stick it in and carry it.
Yeah, there's like a little metal toolbox that just
Yeah.
has hammer and pliers and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
empty of the other tools and put the dagger in, and I'll carry the box.
All right. Someone's going to be
Mr.
annoyed
Spanish.
that you left their tools all over the floor, but you know.
They'll have to live with it.
I guess they have other
We'll at
things.
least
they
make
would
sure
probably-
it's not like someplace where they'll
Get
any
rusted.
roll
Yeah.
away.
No,
Right.
that would be unkind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Before I go look up my ex, we probably should go try to find Myron and John Deere and see what they found.
Yeah.
Besides, my ex probably knows half of what I'm doing already and won't
I'm
need me to
sure-
tell her.
I'm sure someone has already informed her.
Oh,
Either
she has her
or
own
she's-
methods.
or she's made someone inform her.
Mm-hmm. Just watch out for the fireworks. We had a tempestuous relationship, good and bad.
I fully expect to just be to the side with popcorn.
I like you, Pandora. Let's go find Myron and John Deere.
And I'll do my thing to keep us dry on the way out.
So as you make your way out back through the rain to the roof door, there's not any. You don't see any sign of Emily. She must have gone back inside and
No sign
run off somewhere.
of Dax either.
Well, he had where when you last saw him, he said he was going to go talk to Sister Teresa. He seemed
Right.
irritated that she had not told him that you were here.
Mm. They're just making sure he wasn't hanging around like spying on us.
No, you don't. You do not see him lurking anywhere.
Yeah.
But what I'll say is that I think the group reunites as one group coming down, the other group coming up in a big common room area where it does seem like there are many folks gathered, and they do seem to be setting up for like a karaoke night type party. There's a table with some various snacks being set up. They're hooking up a karaoke machine. The festivities haven't really gotten started yet, but they're getting things ready. There are definitely a lot of folks who kind of see all of you and kind of like okay, who are they? But some people are seem curious and are looking at you, but not like afraid.
Yeah.
And for that matter, once you meet up with Sister Teresa there, a few of them seem to say, like, oh, okay, well, Sister Teresa's handling it.
And I see the karaoke stuff. It's like, oh, that's going to be interesting, I'm sure. Oh,
Music tames the savage breast.
Yeah. So I think Sister Teresa is there with Lady Dana and Myron and the rest of you there, and so Sister Teresa would just say, "Hi. So I guess John left and Lady Dana here. I'll let you all sort of handle that part of it. But how, it, did you find anything?"
Yes.
yes.
And I go, yeah, I'll let you.
Oh.
I'll let Pandora do the talking.
Let's go up upstairs. I think it's better to show than to tell.
All right. So she can take you back to her apartment.
Well, I mean, I was saying up to the roof.
Oh, okay. Well, so
Yeah.
I think she initially assumes you're going to her apartment unless you clarify.
Oh.
And,
No.
The roof.
yeah. Okay. So I think, yeah, as you bring her to the roof garden to show her the wings, she kind of comes around and sees them and goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ! I mean, I'm sorry, sorry, Lord. In Jesus' name, what a horrible thing."
I think
She's clearly
that
thrown, but she's now also embarrassed on top of startled that she has sworn.
I think he would find find that explanation appropriate for the situation.
Perhaps.
Show them the other thing show her the other thing we saw.
Oh yes, we also found this. I open up the toolbox and I very carefully take out the dagger.
Oh, what an awful looking thing.
Impossibly sharp.
Yeah, and then I like you wave it as you say that, and
Yeah, it's
and
just-
your voice kind of just goes impossibly sharp,
Yeah,
and it's just she's like, well,
put it
that's
back in the.
alarming, and it was just here.
It was lying in the tools, which
Point
is
to a pile of tools. And
And when then she kind of takes another look at like the tools on the ground and just kind of says, this was my workbench here in the rooftop garden."
is could someone be trying to send a message? Or
I don't know. I'm lost in this. It's certainly true that I am here on behalf of the Sisters of the Broken Crucifix to try to help the monsters who live here and protect them from assaults, both violent and political, from the humans that live here. And it is certainly true that I've made enemies in that way, but I, if this is supposed to be a message, I feel like it's not a clear one.
Oh, I think the message is you can't protect those you're protecting. By putting them in your tent, that's clearly pointing it at you, Sister Teresa. This feels like this is personal.
At this point, you hear Sister Dax's voice from behind you, just saying, "I'm inclined to agree, Sister Teresa." And so, as a reminder, Sister Dax. So the Sisters of the Broken Crucifix all go by the title sister, and they all use the habit as like a uniform. But that does not mean that they are all women. And so Sister Dax does, show up there, and he just says, "I had hoped that you would tell me when division arrived, Sister Teresa. I was looking for you. Good God. And he's looking at the wing display, and it's just horrible. So, when did this happen? I I was in here studying, and it was just to think that this was just here under a tarp the whole time.
Pandora, tell them about the insects.
Yes, we were talking to Emily Santos, and I something about the line of questioning caused my caused my power to lash out and drew up a swarm of insects from all the all the plants around us, and I the the trails on the floor would still be visible, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, and he just
And
looks and
they
just.
created these things, and they all seem to pile in one area, and I mean, it obviously had some form, was not friendly in any way.
He looks kind of perplexed, and he reaches into kind of like a satchel, and you as he pulls out like a notebook that has a whole bunch of like little paper like flags on it, and little like page markers, and he's flipping through, and he's just saying, none of the Aswang who live here are historically associated with insects. Are you sure it's not something that you manifested?
I've never done it before. That's not how my power manifests.
Hmm. And he's clearly flipping through, looking to this reference book that he's got of some kind, and he seems to get kind of lost in it for the moment. And Sister Teresa says, "I think should we? Do we need to leave it up? Should we take it down? I would hate to have anyone just walk
Stumble.
in. This is. I don't want to have anyone just walk in here and see it like this."
No, I think we treat it as the other bodies, and we carefully and quietly deal with it so that it's not seen.
Yes,
There
I can.
any are there any ways of identifying whose?
Wings these are?
Yes.
Well, it does appear to be one set of wings. I, though the bodies were damaged, I don't believe any of the victims that we had found so far were missing their wings. It perhaps is someone that we thought was still missing but hoped might return.
Is there anyone who fits that situation?
Well, the wings are not. The wings are not terribly distinctive to my eyes. It's possible that someone who knew the individuals well might be able to tell, but
That could cause an issue with secrecy.
Right.
Well,
yes, and if there's a way to find out otherwise, I would be reluctant to just bring up anyone who knew one of the missing people and just have them all look at this ghastly sight,
Perhaps
unless.
Ningle, your friend, she is already in the know. She is
Mhm.
knowledgeable, and
Yeah,
she is also a Manananggal. And
she might be able to identify who
if there is
this
some
is from the wings.
distinctiveness to the wings, she would at least be knowledgeable about about it.
Yeah,
Um,
you're absolutely right.
Sister Teresa's like, who are we talking about?
We're talking about Letitia.
Oh, oh, you mentioned Letitia earlier.
I've not gone to see her as yet. We've kind
Did
of
they
been
call
a
you
little distracted.
her? Did they say she was your ex? Is that what they said?
We had a relationship 70 years ago
Oh, oh, all right. I suppose.
during the war.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I'm just processing because I have not. This is perhaps, a bit of a blind spot in my own awareness, but I had frankly never even considered the possibility that she might be romantically involved with someone ever. But
Well, judging by my outside observer, I doubt romance between Ingle and anyone which would present as the way a romance between others would.
well, I guess on that note, was this is do you expect she is going to be glad to see you?
I would like to think so. We didn't leave on acrimonious terms. Division recalled me back to America once the Philippines was liberated, and I have not been back since. But it's not like we've been exchanging Christmas cards.
Sister
So
Dax turns to Teresa and says, "Perhaps that will outweigh her hostility." And Teresa says, "Yes, Letitia was actually, frankly, against bringing in division. She felt that this was something that should be handled internally within the community. But perhaps."
You left that much of an impression upon her, apparently.
yeah,
Wow.
And darkness for being petty.
Well,
yeah. Thanks a lot, Dane. Love you too.
but I can I can get started. I suppose we
I
don't
think
need to keep them up. I can bring them, at least take them down and try to have them not be such a ghastly display here. I would expect
Yes.
you'll find her helping with the preparations down in the commons. She would usually, make an appearance at their get-togethers there. Sister Dax can show you to her apartment if she's not there.
Thank you.
you gave us her apartment
Num-
number earlier, so
Yes, yes, of course. Thank you.
Easy,
before we
Pandora.
go,
Sister
before we
Teresa's
go,
been through a lot.
Myron,
My dear, I think you need to go get yourself a cup of tea or perhaps something stronger if you're so allowed. You seem to be understandably upset.
Ooh, do they have Coors here? Those are tasty when
Yeah,
they're warm.
she kind of she glances at Sister Dax and just says, "No, I'll be all right. I just need to
Perhaps take a
take a
moment.
moment." Yes.
uh, Myron, what uh, did you learn anything down in the basement?
Well,
Goodness,
they like to play hide and go seek the with idols inside of corpses.
And I pull out said uh,
Yeah, the idol, the
idol.
and it seems like somebody doesn't like whoever this idol was done to look like, as they've desecrated it, and it was shoved inside a corpse. And
Inside of corpse, mounted wings. This all feels different kinds of ritualistic.
yes, and the
I
person
agree.
I tried to see into the memories of a dead person. I kind of did, but all I could really glean was they were worried about being rejected, not worried about death. Dying didn't seem to cross their minds at all.
Hmm.
So I
Being
think
rejected by the killer.
so I'm thinking what you say with ritualistic is right. They might be
And
also trying,
personal.
yes, and they also might be trying to, I feel, maybe assemble something, seeing as there's wings, this, and it was only half of her. So
Like all
Um,
building towards something.
because
One
it
quick
seemed,
note about the mystery map here. The flesh of the severed wings torn not cut is maybe a clue that you want to keep as a note, but it is not in and of itself a key.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you should
Yeah. That
probably,
was part of the dagger. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Notes. I'll put that over at notes.
yeah. So what are you keeping that dagger in, by the way?
This little box I
The
found.
Huh.
toolbox.
And it doesn't cut the toolbox.
Um, it's the toolbox is large enough. I mean, I'm not going to rattle this around because it'll cut through the sides for sure. So
Mm. Yeah, when I get a chance, I'll work on something for that. But I think what we might need to do is figure out.
I think we just need to. Yes, let's go. Let's go find Letitia. This is
yeah, I think we're going to go to a
so
karaoke party.
confusing. And I react with our confusion to darkness.
So, if we're going to go to a karaoke party, Ningle, do you have the voice of an angel?
Yeah, and I come
I
out with a
think
voice that puts, the Beatles, Brian Adams, and any crooner you want to shame. Yes, I do.
I think we need. I think karaoke needs to wait, at least on our part.
Well, Letitia will be there. Others will be there. We might gather information.
Yeah, you never know. He might rekindle some things if he can dulcet with those dulcet tones.
I'm not here to rekindle my romance with Letitia. I'm here to
Sure,
solve a murder.
sure. Let's not talk about if they look at you with googly worshiping eyes.
If she
Murder
didn't want
first, then
us
rekindle.
here, she might not
And
be
this could be
looking for romance.
That's very true, Lady Dana. As you may have put it a little acidly, but it's true.
Yeah, and kind of Pandora's gonna just kind of go hand behind Ningles and just go and steer
Not
him
it.
towards the out.
So you all kind of make your way down back to that common area where the setup has been progressing. People are kind of starting to to gather a bit more. People are have got some drinks. They're kind of getting together. There's some little mingling groups, and you see over with as you're sort of scanning the room, you do catch a glimpse of Letitia, which I will reveal here on the on our little people.
And as they're walking into the place where they're set up, Myron looks at Ningle and's like, "Stairway to heaven." Hmm? Hmm?
So reminder that the name tag on here is different because I've decided to make this character be the person that you
Right.
mentioned. So ignore the name there, and this is. In fact, we can actually just go ahead and white it out and make a text there to be.
So is that a function of the Apocalypse Keys stuff for Roll20 that you
Yeah.
can change character names?
Well, no, not. I mean, it's not inherently like part of the mechanics of it. I just decided to take the world building detail that Paul provided for his character and layer it over the pre-written mystery.
Yep.
Oh.
So, in any case, I think that as you're looking for her, you spot her at the same time that you see that she's looking at the rest of your group. And I think you see that she has kind of a sour expression on her face right up until she makes eye contact with Ningle, at which point she raises an eyebrow and starts making her way over to your group. And so Ningle, to be sure, Manananggal are long lived compared to humans, but not to
Right.
you. And so
No,
in
I'm 3,000 years old.
yeah, and
So,
so
yeah,
in the 80 years or so that it's been, she looks older for sure.
for sure.
But you can definitely tell that it's her. And as she kind of makes her way over, she's kind of hunched over. She's using the cane, but I think you more than anyone else, Ningle, can tell it's a bit of an affectation. You don't think she
Mhm.
needs it as much as she's pretending.
No, I'm pretty sure she's yeah, doing doing a bit here.
Yeah.
And
Hello, sweetie.
Is that really how you're greeting me after all this time, Ningle?
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna go with it. Hi, long time no see. She slaps me. She slaps me. I'll take it. I'm ready
She
for
looks
it.
like she's thinking about it.
Yeah, I know she's thinking about it.
So I'm sure you came back just to see how I was doing, right? Not because you're still a division lapdog.
Oh, I'm still a division lapdog. I'm still looking to shake the pillows of heaven. I'm still on my own business, just like during the war, except not fighting Japanese this time.
Sure, and how's that going?
Um, well, heaven's still there, so I guess not so great.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, they've teamed me up with um people of similar strength, so there's that.
She looks at the rest of you pretty dismissively. Like she's not making an effort to be polite to the rest of you.
Oh
I want to
God.
know what love is. Go, go, go.
You know,
You're not helping, Myron, at all.
she kind of looks at the rest of you, just with a little bit of a, you know, like, um, I think someone who doesn't particularly like kids watching someone else's obnoxious toddler. And then she just looks back to Ningle and just says, "Why don't we catch up one on one?"
Letitia, it is good to good to meet you. There is something important that we do need to see, do need to speak of regarding the situation.
She looks at you, Pandorum, and she says, "If I had my way, you wouldn't be here. I think it's a mistake for Sister Teresa to have called you here. I have past history with Ningle, and I would like to discuss that with him, if you don't mind."
I'll be all right. I'll go talk with Letitia and then we can reconnect everything. Why don't the three of you mingle? I'll be Ningle and you can mingle.
Myron
I
kind
smile at my own joke. As
Myron
terrible as it is.
Myron Myron kind of sighs and says, I mean, I wasn't gonna eat her brain or anything. Gosh, like you guys don't let me strut too much. But you know what? That's fine. I'm sure there's other people I can go glean information from. But my number one votes are I want to know what love is, I don't want to miss a thing, and Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls.
I'm not
So
sure if Niggle's laughing, but I'm laughing. Oh,
you just have to hope that their playlist here has all of those English language. Actually, probably I would guess
Probably
that
do.
because karaoke track, right? Like you could have it be just the music track of all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it would probably be, music from the Philippines.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but
Probably.
in any case, though, Letitia is not listening to anybody else. She is
yeah,
pulling you aside, Ningle,
pulling me to the side.
and
Yep,
we
we
will
can do that.
follow you in a moment. But as the two of you, as Ningle and Letitia leave, um, the rest of you become vaguely aware of um, a voice speaking in English that is like doesn't seem to be directed directly at you, but is basically saying, so what we've got here is obviously some non-local monsters that have come to, I don't know, maybe party with the ones that live here, or maybe they're just also tourists, or maybe they're actually family or something. Maybe we don't know. Maybe I'll get to go find out. And you look and you see this guy, revealing him on the layer here. You see this guy who is standing
Oh,
across
boy.
the room with the phone on a selfie stick, clearly like aimed it so that he's in frame, but you're in the background of it.
Oh, dearie
And
me.
I and Pandorum is going to I freeze time around the phone with the selfie stick.
Okay.
And let him try and see what.
Sure. So just briefly, for anyone who is listening to this only, we had Letitia who would appear to, in her, initial appearance here, would appear to be a human woman, perhaps in her 70s or late 60s, but, kind of hunched, dressed in kind of what looked like, traditional clothing, and carrying a cane. And this new guy is he is definitely a white dude, but very badly sunburned at the moment. Uh, Goatee, ponytail, hiking shorts, tribal tattoo around his bicep, sunglasses hanging from his shirt collar, and wearing a backpack and the aforementioned phone and selfie stick. And so I think as the bubble of time stop goes around his phone, um, if it's just around the phone and not the end of the selfie stick, he probably can't move the stick, right? Like it would be frozen in place, and he'd be like, "Whoa." I think he's just like examining it, like,
Pandorum's going to go up behind him and say, "Do you really think that filming other people uh, who have given no permission is a smart idea, especially in a place like this?"
"Whoa, are you doing this?
Yes.
That's awesome." Like,
You're
what's your
lucky
deal? Do you
yeah,
like time powers? That's so cool.
you're lucky I used that trick. Otherwise, you'd be holding a stick with nothing at the other end.
Ah, Pandorum, go easy on the youngling. And I will like sidle up from in front because
Like, well, hello.
Oh
why,
boy.
hello. Why don't we go have a talk over in the corner, perhaps over a drink or something, and I'll let my mischievous companion go bother someone else.
That's
Pandorum's
really
gonna
cool.
kind of
Can I
whisper
have
in
get me my phone back? I kind of need it.
If you would, Pandorum.
as Pandorum releases, he's going to mutter to Lady Dana, "You can eat this one."
So do you really you release the phone?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got, Wow. Okay. Just 1 second, and he's like looking, and he's obviously checking something on it. It's like, okay. Well, sorry for that brief hiccup. I'm going to be signing off just for a moment now. But boy, I bet I'm going to have some cool stories later. Wink. And then he turns it off, and he says, "All right, now I'm all yours."
And Myron says, I don't think you'll be telling anybody.
Now. And I'll like kind of encourage him to a corner so
Mm-hmm.
I can have at least some conversation, if not
Mm-hmm.
more.
Sure. Sure.
It
Yeah.
already
So
sounds like he's up for it, but
well, so like he follows you over and he's just like, so, hey, my name's Franklin. I'm just like seeing the world out here and I'm bringing people's stories to, like the bigger world so people know what's really going on out here, and like they can see what it's like for the disadvantaged folks and marginalized people in the world. And I bring their stories to others so like it can all be told, right? So, I'm kind of like a humanitarian in that way. Well, or like monsternitarian. I need to come up with a good word for that. Something we can brand.
so I don't know if you would find this offensive, but are you among the other kind or just a really involved human?
Oh, well, no, okay, like I'm human. Like I wouldn't want to ever like presume or like pretend. But that said, I'm very cool with monsters, right? Like, I think it's
Ah,
uh it's something that like a lot of people, are ignorant about monsters and they don't know that lots of monsters can be like actually super cool. And so like I'm trying to get to stories out there, right? So like what about you? Like I could say like, maybe like if we weren't here somewhere like this, I might, like see you on the street and say, oh, maybe she's human, but I don't know. I feel like you got something in you. So like, what's your deal?
I've just been around for a long time.
Yeah, cool.
Um, but so just how long have you been hanging around out around here?
Oh, well, like I haven't actually been, like in here in Manila that long. Like I'm traveling all over the world trying to find like the stories that I can share and that sort of thing. Like finding the places where people really have it rough and like, helping the world to have greater awareness of that sort of thing. And so, like, I've only been here for like a couple of days, but like, by and large, I just kind of come in and hang out, and I try to just make myself, not too much of a like an intrusion, so that people feel natural. And so, like when I stream them, like they're authentic, right?
Yeah, I can see that. And in my brain, it's like, oh my
Right?
God. Like, I was hoping for some actual interesting things, but um
Mm-mm. Vapid.
oh unfortunately sometimes the most vapid or actual or seemingly vapid are actually smart. So I'm trying to figure out which is which around here.
Mhm.
Um I need a moment to think about how to approach this. So if you
Sure,
want
sure. Yeah.
to
Yeah,
shift to
so we can
someone
we can cut
else.
away. So like while that conversation is happening, uh Myron and Pandorum, what are you doing?
I think Pandorum is gonna look around at other people and see, uh, like if they how they're reacting to Franklin.
Okay. Um I think it like when you're sort of looking for people's reactions, mostly they're ignoring him. You get some rolled eyes, but like no
Okay,
one seems to be like angry necessarily. They're just kind of, you know,
they're aware. They're aware of him.
yeah.
Some are like, he's just gonna be around, and yeah, until he loses
I mean, you
interest.
could ask folks, but at least just based on kind of scanning the room, you don't see any. Mostly, they're kind of giving him a wide berth, but otherwise, not seeming to. You don't see anyone staring daggers at him or anything.
I think one of the people that has that rolled eyes at him,
Hmm.
he'll go over uh, and basically like kind of see and see. Hi, I noticed you had a you seemed annoyed at that Franklin person over there.
Oh well, I don't know. I mean, he's a little obnoxious, but whatever.
I
I mean,
well,
we people come and go.
okay, yeah. I first became aware of him by him filming me, and I don't like that when there's no permission given.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously, but at the same time, like, what good does it do to like make him mad or rough him up? I mean, that's just gonna make him. He's gonna, we make him leave the building all mad, and he's just gonna film that.
Yeah,
Better to just leave him alone.
I feel like I had a better reaction then. Make him, I guess, make him impressed rather than angry. It's probably better.
Myron's listening and asks, "How long does he normally stay here recording?"
Well, I mean, it's not like he's been around for months or anything. I mean, he just like this is the first, common room get together we've had. He's been I I think he's squatting in the abandoned apartment, which and they kind of give a little bit of an expression of like if that as if that's a good idea, that sort of thing. But I mean, that's you know, it's his business, I suppose.
The
Oh,
abandoned apartment?
what apartment is that?
They suddenly look a little bit reserved, like, well, I mean, it's just empty.
Okay.
Who
So
are you? What are you doing here?
I'm a friend of Sister Teresa's.
And
And
Myron lets loose a very big grin, although to those around us, it looks like one of the skulls floats up into his gelatinous body and kind of chatters. But to this other person monster, um, I would like to use Man of a Thousand Faces,
Okay.
and I would like to look like someone that is.
Well, so like, was this something that you did? Like, you're doing in front of them, or did you kind of
Actually,
do this before you kind of approached?
before I approach, because I want to because I know that they're going to see me as someone familiar to them, and I don't know
Mm-hmm.
who. So I want to try to take those memories and thoughts.
Right. What's the move called again? It's not Man of a Thousand Faces, right? It's
Yeah, it's Man of a Thousand Faces. Or are you looking for the You Can't Hide Your Heart from Me?
well, I'm looking at the move list and trying to find it, but hang on.
Yeah, it's Man of a Thousand Faces. You have learned how to reflect the thoughts and memories of others to help them see who they wish to see.
Okay.
And
Okay. See, that was my problem. It's a Man of a Thousand Faces.
yeah,
I was looking at an alphabetical list. So yeah. So you are you're using your move. So go ahead and put together your darkness tokens and
yeah.
let's roll and see how it goes.
All right. Let's see. I'll use one darkness. And we shall roll.
Okay. Well, so
Oof.
that's a 5. So
Uh,
you'd need to add 3 to get to a hit for that. So I think a thought or memory bears the mark of a harbinger, causing you to lose control of your form entirely.
Oh wow.
Keeper will tell you what happens next. So I think that most of the folks here, like even though they are not human, they're kind of much like lower tier monsters, and I think that they
Mm.
have been subject to your normal sort of passive psychic projection. And as a result, when that suddenly, so what detail about this situation do you think trips you up here and makes that sort of veil fall away altogether for a moment?
I wasn't prepared for them to be this, not nervous, but like anxious around, you know, new people. Seeing as
Mm-hmm.
this is a marginalized community, you would think that they're used to an influx of people, but you
Mm-hmm.
know, when official people come around, regardless of how well they blend in, they kind of stick out. And I just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't prepared for such a backlash against trying to talk with them.
Well, I think also part of it maybe is that you, with your sort of psychic attunement, realize that when the talk, you realize that when the discussion went to the abandoned apartment, a shield went up that hadn't been there a moment ago, and it perhaps
Mm-hmm.
just catches you off guard. And so I think what happens though is sort of the you equivalent of your pants falling down, because all of a sudden you are revealed to everyone and in the room in your amorphous slime body parts form. And I think that the person you're talking to uh, gasps and screams and jumps back, and then several people in the room are looking at in horror, just like, oh my god, what is that? And they're startled, and you have made a big scene. And with that, we'll cut away to Letitia and Ningle.
Speaking of big scenes,
Yeah.
I've been rolling poorly.
And I think actually that as an incipient, well, so we'll come back to that. Never mind. So Ningle and Letitia. So she has brought you to what would appear to be her current apartment, which is, very similar in layout to Sister Teresa's.
hmm
But you can see that she has got a lot of Manananggal history on her, on display, right? A lot of it is kind of dusty, like she doesn't, get in there with the feather duster very often, but she's got a lot of sort of artifacts and art pieces and so on display, which is very much kind of a blast from the past for you, because you certainly remember when you knew her before and when you had been here before. I mean, monster, the monstrous sort of family grouping that includes Manananggal used to be able to, like they used to be able to kind of move in the rest of normal society.
right.
You had some highly placed politicians that were actually Manananggal. Um, they would live just about anywhere. They were actually had a significant amount of political power, and not that they were in charge of everything, but certainly they were not relegated to living 10 in a room in one decaying building. But she seems to have preserved a lot of stuff from the old days. But some of it is kind of displayed nicely, but not necessarily dusted and kept all that clean. Some of it is kind of stacked a little bit more haphazardly. And I'm getting notifications for something that's not supposed to be open. But what are you going to do? Anyway, so she brings you in, and she uh, sits at, or I think she heads into the kitchen and scoots one of the chairs back from the kitchen table, because she knows you wouldn't probably normally sit in a chair, I'm assuming.
No, not
Yeah. So she moves it sort of away from the table so that you can kind of come up next to it. And she says, the usual.
Yeah, especially after what I've seen today.
What would that be, do you think? What did you drink when you were together before?
Now I gotta do what a Philippine uh Philippines
They have stuff.
yeah, there's gotta be some sort of Philippine liqueur.
Well, I just mean they would probably have access to lots of other things
Yeah,
too. But yeah,
but I probably would have, I
feel
mean I was
free
there
to
for a
look
few
up whatever
years.
you like.
Yeah, it probably would have been something local because I was there for a number of years. So
Looks like they have quite a few types of rum.
yeah, rum. Yeah.
Okay.
A rum and let's go for rum and coke.
Okay.
That's what I drank back then. That's what I drink because that
All
makes
right.
sense because colony of the United States, lots of Coca-Cola plus rum and coke. There you go.
Yeah. So she starts fixing a pair of those. You notice that as soon as she's in her place and the door is closed, she leaves the cane by the door and she's walking without it
Of
um,
course.
in the apartment. And so she makes the drinks and then sits down at the table with you and just says, I think there have been times in my life where I hoped I would see you again, but not recently, and that's less a matter of my feelings changing about you and more a matter of my feelings changing about me. As you can see, we've fallen pretty far over the years.
We've gone from power to wartime to a, I guess the unkind word would be ghetto.
Yes.
Monsters are division does keep me on a short leash. They do not like it when I'm visible. They'd rather have me just only out when something is wrong.
Well, yes. That remains a problem here as well. It is not division's leash, though. It is rather a desire to keep ourselves safe from the persecution of the humans that have decided that they don't need us in their lives and therefore would rather have the world make sense to them, and thus anything that differs from their expectations must be purged.
Purged, hidden away, forgotten. They do that to themselves too, all the time. Sadly, monsters such as us get it with both barrels.
But Ningle, we have always managed on our own, and things have taken a downturn, but that does not mean that we are looking for foreign assistance here. I told Sister Teresa that this is something that we should handle within our own community, and I am frustrated with her that she called you in despite my objections. I think she and the Sisters of the Broken Crucifix have been helpful in regard to protection against some of the more acute aggressive tendencies of neighboring people. But that doesn't mean that we are looking for more and more of that kind of assistance. Someone is targeting us, and we will find out who it is. We don't need to level the building with a bazooka. We don't need aerial bombardment. Why are you
Frankly,
here?
I frankly I am a very unusual choice to go after a murderer because well, leveling buildings is much more my speed than murder mysteries. That'd be much more Myron or Pandorum or John Deere's speed. I think I'm here just in case whatever this turns out to be, and if I can read between the lines, to be honest with you, I think Division thinks there's a Harbinger class event brewing here.
Really? Why do they think that?
I don't know why, but why else do you summon 5 Omen class monsters to go check out a murder?
Exactly the question I'm asking, but
So they know something, or Sister Teresa knows something that we're not been told.
Hmm.
But that clearly they think that something very big is brewing here. Um, you saw Pandorum. Pandorum's nature, his existence means that things are moving, world events are moving towards a catastrophe. That's his his very existence means things are brewing and things are fulminating. And I'll go and briefly tell her about the events at
well,
Division
so I think
headquarters.
as you're saying that, she kind of finishes the one drink
Yeah,
and sort of slams the glass down. Not slams, but just sort
yeah.
of definitely kind of just
Well,
lets it sort of land heavily and just says, "So what else is new?"
um, still haven't um still haven't decided to shake Heaven's pillars yet. But Division's keeping a watch on me, so building
Yes, this is
build
what I'm talking about, Ningle. You told me that division was a means to an end, and here I encounter you 80 years later. Have you made any progress at all?
I look sheepish and glass my eyes down because I feel like I'm right back in 1942. No, not yet.
And yet I'm supposed to think that division is going to help us here.
Um, Division has its own agenda. I'm here because I want to help you. Because clearly, clearly, you would be in the sights of whoever or whatever is doing this because of your age, experience, seniority, and importance in this community. And if somebody harms a hair on your head, I will tear apart the heavens in response.
Hmm.
But I'd rather not. I'd rather not have to do that over your corpse. So I'd rather catch this person, thing, entity before that happens. And here's another thing. Um, where we just were before we came down to the party, we found the wings of another. Okay, I'm not proud sword to save his life.
Manananggal.
Manananggal, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They were in Sister Teresa's shed up in the gardens. So I don't know if she's the next target or this is all meant to go drive a wedge at her.
She has
But
certainly made herself the focal point of this investigation.
so sadly and tragically, unless in some twisted way she's part of this, I think that Sister Teresa might be the next target. And I know you don't approve entirely of the sisters and what they're doing to help you, and your pride and strength and
I'm
desire
not
for
criticizing the sisters. They, when they stay in their lane,
I chuckle.
are
I chuckle and take
helpful.
a sip.
They are good fighters. And when we have some of our people getting targeted by gangs when they're out on the streets, or when we have vandals trying to assault the building to chase us out, they are useful as tools of protection, shields, if you will. But this is different. First of all, they've not managed so far to stop any of our people from going missing. That's
No.
not their skill set. And now, when presented with a problem they cannot solve by punching it or presenting a cross, what do? They call in division. I thought, honestly, before this happened, that I could trust Sister Teresa more than that. She did leave division, after all. I thought she understood the problems with that approach to problem solving. But I suppose you're here now. I'm not going to persuade you all to just turn around and leave.
No, not if there is a Harbinger class event coming. No, absolutely not.
Well then, if you're here, you might as well help. But you can help the most by not acting as if our little building here, our home, is a rock to be upended looking for ants. We've made our lives here. This is one of the last safe places we have. Would not see it thrown into chaos due to the clumsy intervention of a sledgehammer. And I think as she says that, that's when suddenly we hear a bunch of screaming from the common room. So I think,
the Eagle side just goes like, "Oh God, what did they do?"
yeah, I think as I didn't want to jump back and forth too much, but I think as a reflection of the chaos that has begun, um, I'm going to take the doomsday clock, which is not to say that you don't still have an opportunity to try to soothe that chaos, but mostly it's people reacting to someone that
Oh
looked
my
normal
God.
at first, suddenly looking like much more monstrous for reasons that nobody knows, and it's a surprise, right? It's different than if you're introduced nicely than if for it to happen suddenly.
Oh, since I don't want a certain idiot to pull out his phone and start filming this,
Mm.
Oh my God.
I'm going to, before Franklin can react, grab his face and kiss him.
I love that. Let's come back to that in just a moment,
Yep.
because as we tick the doomsday clock
Oh
to
yeah,
number
something
2,
else happens.
yeah, so this is an intrigue event, which means that what actually happens here is something that your characters are not aware of. We are cutting away, and we have a shot, a dark shot with a figure covered in black veils, a shaking hand reaching out to answer a prayer, a super close up shot, a smile that bears no mirth, a single whisper. You will be the first to bear my wings. What will you give in exchange, my love? And so that is something that is happening somewhere. But now we come back, we see chaos begin to erupt. Lady Dana, this is not a like a powers kiss. This is just a standard.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
this is a distract him from what's going on over there so that he doesn't pull out his phone and start filming
Mm-hmm.
my companions.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was definitely starting to turn with interest, but you pull him over and you kiss, and you sort of hear slash feel him muttering "hell yeah" to himself even through the kiss.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, so that certainly has distracted him for the moment. So Myron, what are you doing in response to this sudden slip that has got everyone in the room in a startled panic, you know? Like right now, it has not descended into chaos. It is everyone gasping in shock, and because they have just been surprised by you.
Well, sometimes you walk into a room and you just feel so naked. Like everyone can see who you really, really are.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Oops.
Yeah. Don't know how I'm gonna fix this. Well, hi. Um, would anybody be upset if I sang Monster Mash?
That's yeah. I mean, that's a pretty good. I feel like that's a pretty good
And he's just like,
approach. Yeah. Um. So I think you definitely not moving aggressively. The kind of that approach. There's people. There's several people who are still kind of like giving you a wide berth, some strange eyes, but at the same time, a few people seem to have calmed down, and the person who has the microphone to the karaoke machine just says, "I'm not sure we have that one in the catalog."
oh, it's okay. And I'll be like, but I'll see if I can find my MP3 player. And he skirts off to the side, like so I can try to get myself together.
Okay. So Pandorum, I think that the person that you had been talking to was alarmed, but then is kind of like looking at you again as that's all happening and just saying, "Who who are you? What is?"
We are
We are
we're visitors. We are not exactly what the rest of the world will call normal.
Well, yeah, no shit.
Some of us more than others.
You already said
We,
sh- sure, but why are you here?
that is something that hedges in on other people's business, and I don't want to, I don't want to, you know, talk out of turn on that part.
Okay, well, I mean, that's
Yeah.
fair enough, I guess. Just you know, don't cause trouble, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope the karaoke goes well. And Norman's gonna uh, go and find go
Mhm.
to Myron and yeah,
Um,
What the?
refrain from flicking something sensitive or
yeah. So I think, Lady Dana, you
Is he
are.
at least a good kisser?
I think he's actually is fairly good, with the caveat that you realize a little bit into it. He's shifting his body in a slightly weird way, and you realize it's because
He's
he's
about to
trying.
take a
Yeah,
selfie.
he's absolutely trying to take a selfie of you two kissing.
No, so I pull back and not unless they say so. And wouldn't want to disappoint me now, would you?
Well, I've got I've got a little, I'm a little mattress set up in, one of the apartments here. If you're.
You hear you feel a telepathic pulse at the back of your brain while I'm hiding around a corner. Ask him where he's staying.
what do you mean go there?
Because if we get him there alone, we can eat him.
Oh
And
wow.
and we think it's also the abandoned apartment that someone is staying in that no one would want to stay in because it's potentially something terrible there. But eat him too.
So I actually will look at it. I was like, why don't you show me? And like, I'm not telepathic, but I'm going
Mhm.
to think very hard to Mirren. If he's in a place that no one else wants to go, we're going. Follow me. But let me have some fun first.
I shouldn't play with your food, Lady Dana. Oh wait, you're Lady Dana. Who was I kidding?
I I use some of my telekinesis to float over a bottle of gochujang. It's great for dipping.
Oh,
So yeah, I'm going to go full kind of at least mentally dominatrix on him to like uh
Oh yeah, no,
yeah,
he's
he's for it as
oh
long as he's
oh yeah.
for it.
Yeah, no,
And
he is very on board.
Yes.
yeah, and but also gets me quite easily to this place that apparently other people are freaked out about. So
Hmm.
yay.
Yeah, so I think as he guides you out of this common room and down one flight of stairs, so to the point where you're on like floor 3 or something like that, and
Hmm.
um, you know, you kind of sense even as he's just taking you down to the far end of the hallway, like there's a vibe shift in this hallway
Hmm.
that is kind of like hairs on the back of your neck standing up sort of thing that he doesn't seem to be aware of at all.
Okay.
There's definitely like the light bulb at the end of the hallway is flickering, and
Hmm.
it's obvious that the carpet outside that like it's worn everywhere, but it looks like whoever periodically vacuums this place doesn't go to the end of the hallway on this
Okay.
floor. So like it looks dirtier.
Okay.
And you
All
can
right.
see that there's some yellow tape that was across the door that it has been cut. And he's just saying,
Okay.
it actually worked out great because, I this is a pretty crowded building, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to find a place to crash nearby. But like, it just turned out that there was this one that was actually vacant, so just you know, crashing in there, doing the whole squatting thing, but it's cool, right? So we've got some furniture in there. It's nice and comfortable. Got my I could put some tunes on my phone and.
Um, sure. Now,
uh,
does the place seem fine to you, or does it get a little bit spooky?
Oh, well, like I'm like a world traveler, right? So there's uh, there's things that might bother some people, but don't worry. And he puts his arm around you. I'll protect you.
There's part. So there's part of me is like, you poor naive young thing, and another part of me is like, I'm going to be doing the world a favor if I kill this dude. And another is if there's a lingering suspicion that okay, if he's just like kind of he's either that oblivious or he might actually, perhaps unwittingly, be the harbinger. The harbinger doesn't have to be a monster.
It's certainly true that all it
So
takes is someone to open the door of power.
yeah, so I'm partially putting up with this on the off chance that
Hmm.
he, like he's got some funky stuff going on that he might not be aware
Hmm.
of.
Hmm. Sure.
So um yeah, let it like I'll let him lead me in and
Hmm.
such. And it's like um I do want to look around, and I'm gonna try to grasp keys
Okay.
to see if
So
there's something going on here.
sure. So just for context, Myron Pandorum, were you following at some distance, or what's the plan there?
Yeah, Myron is, but he's also very frustrated with himself because he hasn't faltered his image in a very long time. So
Hmm.
he's gonna take 4 darkness points for being very frustrated at his
Uh-huh.
own inability to use his natural gifts.
Yeah. So, and in the meantime, Ningle, I think, despite the screams kind of initially being disruptive, I think they do seem to die down relatively quickly. So,
Well, that was
I think
fast.
Letitia is kind of just looking to you and is just saying,
Yeah,
I think we can assume that's your friend's doing.
yeah, that's almost certainly my friend's doing. Somebody got a little frisky. Two of them
Look,
can eat
division's
anything.
helping already.
Yes, dear. I say that
Um,
literally. Yes, dear.
yeah. So I think that I just wanted to just make sure we're placing everybody in
Yep.
terms. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So as he leads you into this apartment, Lady Dana, it's clear that like he is definitely, the kind of guy that is staying in hostels usually, but what he has done is this apartment that looks like it has been unoccupied for perhaps, so certainly years, perhaps decades,
Right.
right? He has, in like a sort of 20-foot by 20-foot area near the door, he's kind of like swept the dust off the floor in that area, and he's got like a portable air mattress set up, and he's got like a little mini clothesline that he's rigged up
Yeah.
with some clothes on it and everything. But he's kind of made a little campsite just on the floor, just inside this place. You can tell from the dust that's on the floor elsewhere that it looks like he has not even gone anywhere in this apartment past that first little space that he
Okay.
cleared out. Like, he has not explored this place. He's just found a place to, literally a place to crash, right? A place to just,
Mhm.
put his stuff down.
Yeah.
And but you can see that, like, there's a little hallway that looks like it would go to perhaps a bedroom. There's a little place, there's a little
Mhm.
kitchenette that's kind of further in, but it does not look like he has touched that stuff or even gone down that way. Or at the very least, you do not see any indications that the dust has been disturbed
Okay.
in those places. But as you kind of like look around, you can go anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Are you kind of looking more broadly, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna like I like to explore a little bit before I loosen up. So,
Okay, cool. Yeah,
like
totally.
like
Right on.
so start looking like going into the areas that
Mm-hmm.
like start going down the hallway and start
Yeah.
searching around and kind of trying to see if I can feel like the atmosphere had changed. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
try to track it.
Yeah. The you there this place feels like, to the extent that you have so here's a question, I guess.
Hmm.
In Lady Dana's experience, in her long lifetime, how much experience does she have with things like ghosts and the occult, as opposed to the supernatural that's a bit more like you are?
Um, Definitely a bit with ghosts because sometimes you eat something and it decides not to let you alone
Mm-hmm.
afterwards. But also I know I put in my when I was creating the character,
Mm-hmm.
um, I remember there was something about like, let me see. Like what transformed me from human to not human.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. I show it in the the um shattered collar that I'll never take off is
Okay.
a necklace. So it's like I had searched out for something to give me the power to take revenge, and that's how I ended up where I am.
Right.
So I'm not like a wizard or sorcerer or any big academic, but
Mm-hmm.
I I I faced enough of it to get me to where I am now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, so in any case, you're wandering around this apartment, you're kind of trying to feel the vibe, and it definitely, like, sort of on a spiritual level, the vibe you get from this apartment is like if you had an old wooden chair where it was literally starting to rot,
Hmm.
and then someone tried to just put a new coat of paint on it.
Okay.
Right? Like it like at a glance it might seem like it's not rotten, but you also know that the paint doesn't really allow it to not crumble underneath you, right? If you tried to sit on that chair. And so this room feels like there's something here that is superficially hidden, but present nonetheless. But go ahead and do your grasp keys move.
Okay.
So I'm just saying you have that vibe in the room
Yeah.
already. Okay, so that's an 11, a
11.
disastrous success. But as before, if you want to spend one bond, you can make that a 10, or you could let it be a disastrous success.
Let's freak out the normal. Let it be a disastrous success.
Okay. So with a disastrous success in grasp keys, uh,
Oh yeah, so
there's
this
a
is probably a let my power the impulse is going to be to like be an idiot again.
That's all right. Well, so yeah, we didn't touch based on everyone's impulses, but I hope everyone selected one. Um,
Actually, well, I also definitely have a willing victim so far.
well,
So I'll
so on an
but
11 plus with grasp keys, you uncover a key, but there's a significant complication, cost, or fallout. The keeper will tell you what it is. So that's
yeah.
that's what you're going to leave it, let it
Yeah,
ride.
I'm gonna leave it and let it ride.
Okay. So I think that if as you are moving around and looking into some of the areas that it seems as though he's not been in,
Mm-hmm.
you are definitely seeing the dust on the floor disturbed as you walk through those areas. And
Mm-hmm.
I think as you move in and you realize once you get to where there's a small bedroom and a small bathroom. But when you look in the bathroom, you do kind of a double take because there's a relatively big mirror there. I guess it's really not that big. It's maybe like 2 feet by 3 feet or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
that mirror, first of all, what you notice in that bathroom is even though the dust on the floor is undisturbed,
Mm-hmm.
the dust on like the sink in front of the mirror has handprints on it. And I think that's what first catches your eye. And you look in the mirror and you realize that there's a big crack right down the middle of it. And as you look up in the mirror, one side does exactly what you would expect the mirror to do. But the other side smiles an evil looking grin and then turns back to like look over your shoulder. And as you watch, you sort of are like looking over the shoulder at what that part of that half of your reflection seems to be looking at. And you see this guy standing at the end of the hallway. Um, and you have a moment of disorientation where now it's as though you are inside the mirror
Mm-hmm.
watching out from that perspective as you see yourself sidling down the hallway. And then how does your reflection devour him?
Oh,
Oh wow. Wow, 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 wow,
so
wow.
I'm stuck in the mirror now.
It seems that
Wee.
way.
Um,
Crap.
so if this is a bit more of a kind of like mirror version of me sort of deal,
I,
because that's what it sounds like.
Hmm?
Um, it's going to be probably hot and sweaty sex um followed by strangulation with my hair, and because that's how I first
Well, so
died.
remember,
But
we can,
yeah,
fade to black or do
yeah,
anything that you like at that point. We don't have to
yeah.
go into detail.
Basically, at that point, start fading to black
Yeah,
unless
right,
some weird ass noises or something like that
right. But so here's the
draw
thing:
the
is that
attention.
find yourself watching that at this strange angle, like you can just kind of
Hmm.
see down the hallway that you watched this happen, but then you sort of blink and you're there in the living room having just done it. Like so, and like you are,
Okay,
and so now you find yourself
like,
back in the other room,
and Franklin's gone.
satisfied in that way, and he's gone. Yeah, and so the key
Yeah,
is
the mirror.
the mirror that splits your reflection in half. One half moves of its own accord.
Hmm. Oh boy, that was a trip.
Hmm.
I could just imagine Myron and Pandorum outside the door, just like, is
What?
is that what I think it is?
It's like hearing various sounds, and you're like, well, so wait, so what do you think that sound was? I mean,
Myron's
are you
My,
literally just like listening at the door, or what
I
are you doing?
Pandorum isn't like ear pressed against the door, but it's like, waiting outside, waiting to for some sign
Hmm.
to be called in.
Myron's leaning
Just
up. Myron's leaning up against the wall, picking at his fingernails, like she better leave me a piece.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that actually, as a result of that, that happening, you have that key, but I'm going to tick the doomsday clock again.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
that was,
That was a little intense.
yeah.
And as what happens there is that we have Ningle still in Letitia's apartment with her. Lady Dana still in this abandoned apartment, um, uh, sort of reacting to what just happened. Pandorum and Myron, like outside the door, deciding
yeah.
like, should we go in? Should we not?
Yeah, I don't, I don't,
Like,
I don't, I don't, I don't, I don't hear distress, or at
yeah,
least not any untended.
it's not hers anyway.
Not her distress.
um, but what you then all hear though are more screams of fright that this time do continue, along with a big crashing sound back from the direction of the common room.
Ningle sighs. That's not my friends.
Myron yells through the door, "Lady Dana, finish up. We gotta go."
And Ningle's moving towards the door. Whether Letitia or not follows him
Hmm.
is
Oh
up
no,
to
I
it's up
she
to her.
follows.
It's up to her, but yeah,
Yeah.
Ningle's gonna
Um,
go wade towards this.
and yeah, I will like try to like kind of like pull clothes on, kind of. But this is weird. This is wrong. That was me, wasn't me. Um, and that was freaky. And as I hit outside the doors, like, did anything out come out?
Um. Oh, so I mean, well, so here's the question. Like, it
Yeah,
sounds like it would take you a moment to
yeah.
like get dressed again. So Myron and Pandorum, are you waiting?
I, my, Pandorum's gonna look to Myra and say, "I'm gonna go see what's going on.
Okay.
You tell Dana where we're going, Lady Dana where we're going," and Pandorum would just take off.
Hmm.
And honestly, probably try and maybe use a little bit of his power to move faster than
Hmm.
you would expect.
Sure.
Right.
So I think that would happen first then, because especially if you're using your power to move quickly. So what you see as you get back to the common room is uh, there's a lot of people running away from it, but you also, as you get to the common room, you kind of push past the people running in the other direction. You can see that there are several, a lot of the furniture is kind of knocked over, like the snacks table is overturned. The lights have gone out, or, it's dark in there now for some reason. I think the little sort of like, they had like a little USB disco ball thing that had been set up next to the karaoke table, and that's still going, but the overhead lights are out. And you see people kind of cowering in the corners. But what you also see is uh, a Manananggal in their sort of separated form with wings that are much larger, and they are blood red and have like claws on them. And this Manananggal, like, you can see, like, their face is just twisted in a frenzy of rage as they are flapping around the room, clawing at people and destroying furniture in just, it's like they have an irresistible urge to destroy everything they see, and they don't have a terribly organized priority list for what order to do it in. Just anything they see, they kind of take a swipe at, and then they're just flying around kind of at random.
Okay, I think that would be a. I think that would be a reaction for Pandorum to unleash the dark,
All right.
to basically try and restrain this
Sure.
one.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So let's see the move. When you are use unleash the dark within you to enforce your will on someone, physically in this case, right? You're just trying to kind of stasis them to the extent you
yep,
can. So let's see
or
the
at least
roll.
like kind of yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
look, two
awesome.
darkness tokens, and you got a 10. Perfect hit. You wield the darkness with control and ease, so you can choose two here, which is, from the list.
Okay.
Which, just
Uh,
for people who don't have it in front of them, the list is: get past their defenses and inflict a condition, get what you want from them, avoid reprisals, harm, or cost, gain the upper hand for now, expose a weakness or flaw, or confuse them for some time.
okay, so uh, sorry, I was looking at something else for a
Mm-hmm.
moment. Uh, well, avoid reprisals, harm or costs, and um, uh, I I think get what you want from them in case like I want them to just not be within range of anybody that you know.
Okay.
I being harmed is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
People is no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because I also took a move, I reshaped by despair. Um, yeah, when you choose to unleash the dark, describe how your form changes
Okay.
through violence and beauty, causing those around you to despair.
Oh.
Oh.
And I think what happens here is that um, the yeah the marks around Pandora's eyes deepen and uh, become basically almost burn and kind of and just his face goes to almost a full burns,
Mm-hmm.
skull like and like kind of and where the marks were kind of glow red and uh, and he approaches the Manananggal, and one of the options I can choose, even on a miss, is uncover a key at great cost.
Okay. Okay.
Oh.
Um. Gosh, at great cost.
Oh boy.
Well, let's see what we've got here as far as keys. Um. Yeah. I think. I think that at the as so you chose to kind of take what you want from them in the vein of get get them to stop attacking others, right?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
did you pick a second thing for that part of the
Avoid
move?
reprisals, harm, or cost.
Okay,
And
okay. So I think
and honestly, I'm okay with the great cost for the key
mhm.
to base to somewhat override the avoid
Well,
reprisals.
no. So I hear you, and I'm glad you're willing there. But I think in this case, that's not where I'm going with it.
Uh,
I think that they, as you are kind of, so is this like a stasis field, kind of holding them in place?
I imagine uh it's kind of like barriers, like kind of
Mm-hmm.
barriers where they they just can't move through,
Right. Right. Okay.
kind
Well,
of bounce off of.
so I think what you find is that as they discover they're kind of trapped, um, they begin to the frenzy continues, but now it's got a dash of panic in it. I think partly because they it sees your eyes, and it's literally like it's bashing itself against these barriers, and you can see the barriers start to have smears of blood on them as it's basically beating itself to death against your barriers. um, and
Whoa.
eventually it kind of like the last couple of slams are uh, weaker, but then it kind of it slumps down, and you watch as something causes it to just ignite, and it's burning in just like blue flames that lights up the room.
Whoa.
And then you realize that as it burns through in only a few seconds, you realize that the barriers you put up are now just supporting what look like some kind of a crystallized powder.
So I'll just kind of take in, scoop it up, and because like I remember there being saying something about Manananggal salts, and
Yeah.
I kind of want to keep that contained in
Right.
like
Yeah. And in fact, that is the key that you have uncovered at great cost here is this thing, after exhausting itself in that way, seems to burn up and become this substance that you perhaps you wonder if that's what it is, but I'll tell you right now, mechanically, that's what it is. That's what the key is. But we can say that that's revealed in fiction here in a moment, because I think at this point we have probably Ningle and Letitia running in. We have Sister Teresa and Sister Dax both show up, and they have Sister Teresa and Sister Dax both have. Sister Teresa has a baseball bat with a cross, like burned in all around it, and Sister Dax has like one of those holy water things where you can toss
Kind
it
of.
like that.
I want to say censor is what comes to
Yeah,
mind. I don't know.
Censer is incense. I know what you're talking
right,
about. Holy
but
word sprinkler. Yeah.
yeah, but so in any case, it is one of those, and he also has in his other hand in the chat we have thurible. Maybe I feel like
Oh,
if that's
yeah, that
that
sounds
might be the
right.
right
Yeah.
word, but I don't know that I've ever actually heard that word. I've just seen them. But in any
Yeah.
case, that might be it. But so yeah, so he's got one of those, and he's also got what looks kind of like a rosary in his hand, but also is definitely not a standard rosary. But he's got something in his hand that's got a bunch of beads on it that he's holding like it's a protective weapon of some kind. But so everyone's kind of charging in to see that things seem to have calmed somewhat. It's still dark in here, lit up only by the flashing colored lights of this little USB disco ball.
Oh God.
Um, but and the people who had been sort of cornered in there seem to be, fleeing the room. But one woman runs up to Sister Teresa and just says, "It was Philip. It was Philip, but he didn't know me. He just attacked." And so what do you all do? You're still holding up this crystal powder that does, I think, I'll say you have an intuition that it seems bad, like it would be not good to let it
Oh
just
yeah.
spill onto the carpet.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he is holding it, kept in his fields, and it's like, I think we need some place safe to contain this. I, I, it just
What
does not
what
seem
happened?
right to me. The Manananggal, it was attacking, and I contained it, and it beat itself to death. It seemed, and all through all this, Pandorum still has the appearance.
Oh,
Right.
you don't look right, Pandorum.
Yeah. Letitia, moves up, and she grabbed her cane on the way out, and you watch, and you Ningle, you saw that she was running pretty well
Hmm.
before, but now she's using it again. She kind of, you know, canes up to that, and she looks at you, Pandorum, and just says, "Hold that for a moment." And she finds she she takes one of the big plastic bowls that up until now had chips in it, and she dumps it out, and then holds it underneath, and just looks at you.
And I'll let it slowly go in, so it doesn't like puff up or anything.
Hmm.
Just like go in.
And then she takes a platter from the overturned snacks table and puts it over the top and just says, "This substance is very toxic."
What's my thought?
And there's a look exchanged between her and Sister Teresa that does not
Hmm.
involve words. but Letitia leaves with the bowl.
Yeah. Kind of figured that was going to go.
Pandorum will go. I will put his head, his hands, kind of rub his face, and go up, and it's back to mostly normal.
What happened to you? Was it something this creature did?
I contained it, and I contained it as it beat itself to death, and it destroyed itself just like my people did. Just like they. I don't know what drove this one, but I don't think it was the same as us, where we had just ego that drove us to extinction. And it just leans onto Ningle.
Oh yeah, I can be the rock for you. Absolutely. I can put an arm around you and just like keep you together. Keep it together, man.
And go to Teresa and say, look at Teresa and say, it looked different than what I would expect. The wings looked different.
Different how?
We can discuss that elsewhere.
Yeah.
Is Myron and Dana there here at this point?
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone who
Yeah,
was headed
okay.
here probably could have made it here by now.
Yeah, I would just say as I left the apartment, I will ask if did anyone walk out? And I know the answer to that is no. And um basically something weird happened, but let's follow the screaming. Deal with it later.
Mm-hmm.
And then so yeah, I'd say we're now in that common room.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, that was unexpected.
Yeah, that there's too much unexpected right now.
Was anyone mortally hurt?
It does not appear to be so. Like there are several people who seem to have, sustained some like scratches or bruises, as they were kind of like clawed at or thrown around. But no one seems to be so injured that they can't move. So pretty much the room has cleared out. You can also see that one of the windows of the common room here has been smashed inward.
Okay.
Sister Teresa is listening to this, and she says the others didn't turn into salt.
No. They've all had different results. Idle, salt, wings torn off. It's all of a pattern. It's all of a pattern we haven't figured out. But they're all different. It's like pieces of building towards something.
And what of mirrors?
Mirrors?
Mirrors.
There's an apartment
Perhaps
that well,
I think we're all off on this. I don't think anyone's listening to us at the moment.
Right, you're in the common room, but basically everyone has left. Sisters
Yeah.
Teresa and Sister Dax are still there. Letitia left with the Manananggal
with the
salt,
salt,
so
yeah.
she has not come
Right.
back yet. But everyone else has left.
Yeah.
What's or actually Letitia might know since she's probably been here longer. Um,
I think
what's the
Teresa just.
history?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, what's the history of that apartment?
I have struggled to get a precise accounting of that. It is certainly an apartment that no one has lived in since I've been here, or for as much as I can tell, for many years. It definitely has an aura to it, but as long as I've been here, it's just the place that
All right.
nobody
No,
lives because it has an aura to it. I had asked.
I will go. I will kind of like basically ignore everyone right now and
Mhm.
start going towards where Letitia went off
Okay.
because if no,
Hmm.
like the oh, it's got a bad aura or
Sure, sure,
whatever.
sure.
No.
Yeah.
The all right. She
Hmm.
apparently knows Ningles from a while ago, so she probably has more
Yeah.
info.
Okay.
Go to her
Well,
because
Sure.
well,
No. Yeah. Absolutely. So
uh,
yeah.
one thing I want to also just say in the meta too is that you are at 6 keys now, and it's a 6
Hmm.
difficulty mystery. So just as far, so right now you
Yeah.
are at the point where if you
right,
were to
even
do
odds.
unlock Doom's Door, it would break you a break even roll.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's more keys is a positive to the roll.
Right. So
Right.
basically, the roll will be
Yeah,
the number of keys minus
minus.
6,
Okay.
Yeah.
and it's 2d6 plus the number of keys minus 6, which is the
Yeah.
complexity.
But I need to know about that
Hmm.
apartment and mirror before I try to before I try to start
Okay.
linking things.
So I think when you are hurrying, you are catching up just as she is taking the salt into her apartment and getting ready to close the door.
What it what happened in that apartment?
She looks, she looks at you and she just says, "That is not a story for outsiders." She moves to close the door.
I will put my hand in. It just took me. What is with that apartment?
She narrows her eyes, but then backs away from the door to let you in, but then closes the door behind you and locks it. Um, and then she looks at you, and she's got. Yeah, so she basically looks at you and she just says, "It didn't take you. It did what part of you wanted."
Be that as it may, it decided for me. What the fuck is going on with that?
It.
Lady Dana is just absolutely pissed at like her body, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of a by definition of hers, was just
Oh,
tampered
sure,
with.
sure. So,
So kind of her like it's
The violation is real.
my
oh yeah,
stuff,
no, no,
all my stuff. Don't touch my stuff. Don't touch
yeah,
my
yeah,
people.
no,
I no. What the fuck's going on?
right. So she, I think as you watch, she said that, and then she goes into the kitchen. She's got this bowl with the
Yeah,
platter over it. She sets it on the
whatever,
table,
whatever.
reaches under her sink, and pulls out a very old looking ceramic jug. And when I say old, I don't mean like 20 years old. I mean like a relic.
Yeah.
And it's got all sorts of symbols on it and everything. And it's got a
Hmm.
big old cork on the top, and it's like 18 inches across. It's a big thing, and so she just had it under her sink. But she takes
Hmm.
that out, and she takes a scarf and wraps it around her mouth and nose, and then pours the salt into that jug. And so she's just busying herself with that, not really talking to you at the moment.
When you're done with your task, which I can understand, not releasing toxins in the air, what is going on?
So she finishes pouring. She puts the cork back in the jug, and then she takes the platter and the bowl and puts them in the trash can.
Mm-hmm.
And then pulls down the scarf and just says, I don't think that you're so naive as to believe that everything in this world has an easy, simple answer.
Yes, unfortunately, everything's very complicated, but there's more of an answer than just, oh, it's complicated. What happened?
So tell me, if I were to suddenly show up at your division base or headquarters or whatever, and barge into a room that said, oh, no admittance, and start rifling through drawers or something. And then something attacked me. And I came out and I said, what was that? Would you feel terribly inclined to explain to me in detail what I had just stumbled into?
Well, you have a fair point. It would this is Millie trying to
Yeah,
figure out what
no,
she's
that's all right.
saying.
I think
But
maybe
yeah,
so.
yeah,
Sure.
switch to someone else so I can have a moment
Well,
to
so
figure out.
do you want a moment, or do you? You could say just Lady Dana hesitates, and I could continue. But
Yeah,
if
Lady Dina
mm-hmm.
hesitates
So I think
because
in that moment, so like you have a fair point, and then hesitating, I think she softens a little bit and says, I don't mean to diminish what you experienced. It is the reason that nobody lives in that apartment, the reason why it has been closed off for some time. I had not been made aware that the tourist had cut through the tape. I am frankly angry with myself and embarrassed that I allowed such a thing to happen without my realizing it in this building. So my hostility, although I did not want you and your colleagues here, is partly down to reckoning with my own failings in this. Is the boy dead?
yes, there's no trace other than what he brought with him.
There wouldn't have been in any case. I suspect that if you were to go in there now, even his belongings would be gone.
Whatever it is cleans up after itself.
In a manner of speaking. It
Would the would the print would the prince and the dust be gone?
Which prince do you mean?
Any that I made? Well, I made, not it wearing my face or myself. The
There,
handprint. I assume that the handprints that were by the mirror would still be there because they were there when I got there.
handprints by the mirror.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
She sits down and she seems deep in thought for a moment.
I noticed the handprints before whatever is within the mirror
Oh,
woke up, if
She
that's
she looks to you and says, "This is something that may not have immediately come to mind as you are not necessarily familiar with us. But a Manananggal, traveling without our lower body, would not make footprints in the dust, but would make handprints. Someone has been there. We have long known that place to be a place of power. And we have avoided it because that power is difficult to understand."
is there someone who chafes under the insistence that it be left alone?
She kind of just gets a faraway look. So, what is everyone else doing? Lady Dana kind of charged after Letitia.
right. I was going to let her do that because I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
to. Getting between Lane and Dayton and something is a perilous task, and Letitia can handle herself. So, um, trying to, I'm basically trying to console and get Pandorum back to right it after what he did because he's not in great shape.
Yeah, after a few moments, Pandorum does go back to normal. It's but is just like very shaken, very.
And they're gonna go take a look at the break in. It's like, so this room was broken into from the outside, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go take a look at that damage.
Okay.
See if I can figure out more about.
Sure. I mean, superficially, it's pretty obvious that you can see that perhaps a flying creature of some kind smashed in through the window from the outside. But if you want to look at it more deeply, you can.
I do. I do.
Yeah. Is that the
Yeah.
sort of thing that might be a grasp keys?
I think it actually is. Yes.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
One darkness
Thought it
to
might
the
be.
left. So let's.
One thing to ask is who hasn't grasped keys yet.
Oh, that's a good question. I have. So maybe somebody else might want to. Myron might want to do that. I might want to suggest to Myron to do this so Myron gets a shot at grasping keys. Because you have, I have, Lady
I
Dana
have.
has. Yep. Myron, come over here. Let's take a look at this. I'll let Myron take the lead and go for the grasp keys move.
Is there through the broken window? Is there buildings higher up than ours?
Yeah, but it's not like it's not super close.
Okay.
Like this is definitely not the tallest building in the area, but it's also not like, it's more than just an alley um, away.
Um, That's fine. I will try to grasp keys, and I will use 2 darkness.
Okay.
Take a shot. Hopefully, I
Okay.
rolled.
Well, that's an 11. So disastrous success.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah. Is that something you're going to let ride, or leave as a or try to adjust downward?
Oh man, I've got 1 bond left. I could, but you know what? We'll just let it ride. It's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, God.
So you uncover a key, but there's a significant complication, cost, or fallout. The keeper will tell you what it is. I think that as you are looking out the window, you at first are not really seeing anything. You're trying to just see what there is to see. It's still raining pretty hard, but then, you know, lightning is flashing. And as it illuminates, the area a little bit, you suddenly see that the building across the way has graffiti all over the outside of it that is clearly like designed to be seen from here, right? From where you are. And it is, I think, uh, you wouldn't necessarily, well, I don't know. How does Myron deal with language? Like, is that something like, are you able to kind of just psychically grasp languages? Whoops. Because most people here are able to speak English. It has not been a problem for you so far, but
If he needs to, usually he would try to glean it from someone's mind. But if there's no one around for him to do so, then he's not a good
Okay.
translator.
Ningle knows Spanish.
So um
If it's Spanish, if it's some native Filipino language, maybe
let's
not.
see. Let's see. Uh,
Might have been around the Philippines long enough to pick up a local language, but
Let's see.
Spanish he's got it now.
well, I mean, so I think that as we get more people looking out there, it does seem to be written in in Filipino, but the root words are enough that you can see that it seems to be talking about both redemption and punishment. But as you are leaning out, kind of looking at it more carefully, there is a cry, and all of a sudden, Myron, you feel clawed hands seize you and pull you out the open window. And I think that your nature is such that they aren't able to really maintain a grip on you. But I think they managed to yank you enough that you're tumbling out the window.
Let's see here. What to do, what to do, what to do.
This is the complication. If you didn't pick up on that.
Well, there is.
And Durham would like to have a reaction if you.
Ningle definitely
Yeah,
wants a
well,
reaction
sure,
if I-
sure. I think
Yeah, but,
we'll give Myron a chance to kind of
Yeah.
say what he's doing. But if he doesn't have anything, certainly we've got, we had established that you were right there. So,
Yeah, let's see. Hold on a second.
but I think perhaps we can have, Myron, you are where you are at right now is you feel the momentum not on your side here, but I think they still have a grip on you, but you can sort of already feel yourself sliding out from between their fingers because you're just not very solid in that way.
Well,
Unless you want to be, I suppose.
I do, but in a very specific way.
All right.
Because, at this point, I'm a squishy boy. It's not super tall. I might be able to survive this fall. In fact, I'm pretty sure I will. But they won't because I'm going to unleash the dark. I'm going to try to eat this thing.
Okay.
Oh.
That seems like a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's see how it rolls.
And I will gladly do it. And I'll use the last 2 of my darkness points. And yeah.
Okay, perfect hit. Perfect hit.
Woohoo.
Yeah, so get past their defenses, inflict a condition, etc., etc. Like what are you choosing here?
Let's see. Let me double check. I think that's the first time I've succeeded on that roll. So I can choose 2. So I will get past their defenses and inflict a condition. And I will avoid reprisal, harm, or cost.
Okay. So I think what that means in this context is you succeed in sort of like even as you would have started to slip out from between their fingers, you kind of solidify yourself around them and then absorb them, and you are able to consume them that way without them hurting you, all the while you are
Falling out of the
plummeting
window.
out the window. So I think that Pandorum and Ningle would see that Myron has just enveloped apparently another crazed Manananggal, but is now falling.
This is where a fallen angel comes in handy. So I'm gonna go burst out this hole and go flying down to try to catch Myron to keep him from falling to the ground. You know,
Okay.
Superman style.
Sure, sure. Although I think when Superman was going to catch Lois, she was not like, you know those kids toys like the water weenies?
Yes.
I have to imagine trying to catch Myron is something like that.
Well, Ningal also has a snake a snake like body that can, you know, possibly curl around a couple times.
Yeah,
Well, so
possibly.
let's see a move to
All right, what do I have?
see how well you manage to do you racked in time, and can you get down there, and can you actually get a grip?
All right, what would be the
Power through darkness.
Power through darkness? Yeah, I think that's the right
Well,
move here.
so yeah, power through darkness I think would be if this was a more extreme. Like you're trying really
Okay,
hard,
Unleash the
but I
Dark?
don't think this is
No.
yeah. Unleash the dark is enforce your will on someone physically. In that case, right? Like you're just trying to use your powers in a straightforward way. I
Yeah.
think this is power through the darkness would be if it's a more extreme
Okay.
example. Whereas this
okay.
is just a matter of like, are you fast enough and agile enough? Not a, is this something you would even be capable of normally?
Yeah. All right, let's give it a shot. Not going to spend any darkness tokens. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh,
So that's a miss.
whoopsie.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to fail at this.
Yeah. So I think, unfortunately,
I underestimated the situation.
maybe it's really just the sort of like you're just a split second too late.
And I'm
you
a little
just,
slimy.
yeah, and so maybe you get like a handful of slime.
Bonk. I think we're both going to crash to the ground here.
Well, and so I guess here's the question for Ningle.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's obvious, I think there's a split second where it's obvious you're not gonna be able to have this go completely your way. Would you try to grab him anyway, knowing that the two of you will both hit the ground? Or, but potentially lessening the impact on him at the cost of your own? Or would you say, I'm not going to be able to stop him from hitting, and I'm not going to let him pull me down either, and let go?
That's a good question.
And one thing you should know is that, if you're worried about being seen, Myron can walk around potentially, at least good enough to get
Well,
back.
it's also a thunderstorm right now. There's not a lot of people on the
there's
street,
not a lot
but
of people
that's
on the
good to
street.
know regardless.
Ningle is at this moment anyway. He's not in a dark mode, so yeah, he's going to try to save him and Myron as much as possible. So yeah, he's not going to let Myron go. He committed. He's going to commit to the bit, even if it's going to fail.
Okay. All right. So
I regret this, but
so I would like the two of you to both take a condition as you hit the ground from falling from about from, I believe we had established the 4th floor, so it's not the worst, but I think it's enough that it would cause a condition, it would make you cranky
definitely.
or whatever.
What condition shall I take? raging because I'm angry that my powers failed me here. So I've landed. I am pissed off.
Yes, my
Not pissed off at Myron,
frustrations.
pissed off at himself, like cursing in bad Spanish.
Oh yeah, listen, join the club because I've been frustrated this whole day. I can't do nothing right. So I'm
I
also
sorry, go ahead.
no, and he's feeling frustrated. So he's going to
Mhm.
take 4 more darkness points, but also be very mad because I just hit the ground. Like, and it literally does. You, by the way, Ningle, your wings are slimy because I did go splat.
Oh,
So
I did go splat.
I
man.
was envisioning as the image here is that Ningle kind of wraps himself around you, around Myron, but then hits, boom. But the thing is, Myron just splats over him,
Oh, I've
right?
been slimed.
And
Great.
so Ningle is now like slimed, like plastered to the ground, covered with Myron's slime and various chunky bits. Um, and then I would imagine one of the little mouths on Myron burps.
Yeah, and it's like kind of like that scene in Ghostbusters, huh?
Yes, exactly.
Uh, so I think Sister Teresa looks over to Pandorum and says, "Are they okay?"
They'll be fine. They've had much bigger falls.
It's
Might be a
true.
little cranky, but
I didn't
Not
get a
wrong.
good look at the one that grabbed him, but I think it might have been William. I,
I'm all alone again. Always seems to happen. I take 3 darkness.
Aw.
so here's the question. I think you are, without difficulty at this point, able to sort of regroup. The immediate danger seems to have passed. You are at 7 keys. What do you think? We're getting close to the end of the session, so finishing the session with an unlocked Doom's door might make sense. Or
Yeah.
if you feel like you would want to keep looking for keys, we could potentially um, save that.
In a meta, I'd rather have all 5 of us together before.
Well, no,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying
Yeah,
is
from a
that
meta, from
we
a
Yeah.
can
meta
take the
standpoint.
next few minutes for you. Oh, or you mean all 5? I see.
Yeah,
I
Yes,
we'll
follow.
have
right.
Nobilis here too.
Unfortunately, though, he's still not available next week either, and then the
Oh,
week after that, some other people are going to
Yeah,
not be available.
oh,
Paul
okay.
and I are not available.
Yeah. Oh, crap.
Mhm.
Um,
I-
my problem is not sure about who the harbinger would be.
Mhm.
Well,
I can kind of think about
I think I know
ways.
what the door is.
Yeah,
Got the murder victims. The decline of the Manananggal kind of makes sense. The harbinger is still like, who is that?
Mhm.
Is
Yeah.
kind of still hanging out there, unless somebody else, unless one of the two of you have an idea as to who the harbinger is. But I don't think we have
I
that.
think we have.
Yeah.
I
I
have.
ate one
I have an idea.
possibility.
You ate one possibility, but clearly not the harbinger because you ate him.
Well,
I-
I mean, he could have been and just is now dealt with, right?
But I have an idea. I have something stirring around in my head about the harbinger.
Okay?
I might need a list of some of characters. Yeah,
Mhm. Oh, do you want to? Well, do
like
you want to? I can put you back on the people
All the people.
page if you want.
and also if we did want to pause or wait for a second, I could try to rummage through the memories of the one I just ate if there's any left. Though I've not had a good since I did
I
that the
mean-
first time. I've not had a very good look.
Track
But,
record.
yeah.
almost feel like that would be a sufficient thing for a glass of keys, rummaging through memories.
Well,
Well, I
that could
have
be
to
another
ask.
key.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to ask Sesame first. But actually, wait a minute. Actually, no. I could Ooh, if I did, you can't hide your heart from me. I could, and did it. I could actually do draw a line between a key and a facet of the mystery, declare an irrevocable truth about the mystery. If I hit it. If I
So
don't,
right. And so what I'll remind you all too is that the value of doing that, creating an irrevocable truth, is essentially because part of how this works when you do the unlock dooms door is in some ways what you're doing is you're telling me how you would like this to play out, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you think is the most interesting way for all these clues to line up, right? And so by declaring an irrevocable truth, you can say this part will be true no matter what. Even if other things are wrong, you can, and so that's essentially like putting a stake in a pin in one particular part of the story to say we want it to always be like this, whereas the rest could change, and that's the value mechanically for doing that.
Yeah.
And I have something that would really make a lot of sense for that irrevocable truth. Yeah. Specific.
Well, so like if you want to do another grasp keys, that's fine. I think again, it will be like the other keys. It's you're not going to get a key that says, "Oh, it was actually this guy," right? I mean,
yeah.
there's still actually two significant NPCs that you didn't even meet yet, which is fine. Like, there's no problem with that. But
That does hinder us a little here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
well,
like the
no, not
last mystery.
necessarily. It just means
Well,
it's a
it gives
smaller.
little suspects.
You
Yeah.
met a number of different people, right? And so
Yeah.
You know what? Might as well, YOLO. Session's almost over. I will try to they can't this thing that I started to consume, it can't hide its heart from me. I'm gonna try to connect with these remaining pieces
okay,
and see what I get. And hopefully it rolls better.
all right. Well, that's a 6. That's a miss. Um, yeah.
Do you have any bonds left?
I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
one, but it's not enough
Okay.
to
One
bring it
isn't
up.
enough, unfortunately. Yep. So you can't hide your heart from me, unfortunately. On a miss, the darkness within you takes hold and will break the mind and heart of who you were connecting to. And I think what that just means is that you sort of, I think you recognize in your, like, in your sort of surprise and anger at getting pulled out the window, you kind of ate them too fast and were not able to retain any of that. You destroyed what was there and don't have access to it. And I think I'm also going to tick the doomsday clock once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want us to get to that last tick. That's the other thing.
Right. So we're now at 4 of 6.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens when we do that fourth one.
Oh, yeah. This might upset an apple cart
Yeah.
here.
I think that as you are, so where are you having this conversation as you kind of regroup?
Maybe back in the karaoke room.
Okay.
Or probably not. Well, if everybody's still
Honestly,
gone, that would be.
Yeah.
Teresa's apartment would probably be better, or
Okay.
Well-
somebody's apartment, because that way it's a
Mirren was just trying to eat the memory of what something where you guys were. So, like,
Mhm.
you guys are going to have to come back upstairs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We have to
Well,
come back
so
in.
I was assuming though that this discussion is kind of happening as you had come back in and
Yep.
you have chosen
yeah.
a place to sit
Okay.
and talk about it.
Well, let's go to Teresa's apartment.
Okay.
I think David's
so
right.
I
That
think
makes sense.
though that what happens is that you all feel sort of a tremor go through the building,
Mhm.
and there's almost sort of a humid shudder through the air, and as you look up, the wallpaper starts peeling down from the top, and as it does, there are scrawls of some indecipherable language written in like a desperate, crazy hand, but in a language that none of you know.
Oh boy.
And that's happening here in Sister Teresa's apartment. But there's a moment where you kind of wonder if it's only here or not.
Hmm.
Given the way things are going, I would be highly surprised if it was limited just to here.
Mm-hmm. And so I think that's an image that we could potentially end on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
nice
that's a-
thematic.
That's a good closer.
Okay. Okay.
I'm getting some
Yeah.
Silent Hill vibes here.
Yeah.
I'm getting the sounds of silence
Yeah.
vibes here, and the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And this is
Uh,
the disturbed version.
Yeah, yes, yes,
oh
yes,
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 absolutely,
exactly.
absolutely.
This is the disturbed version of that song. Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Oh God.
So I think that is where we will end our session for this week. But how will our monsters solve the mystery of the Manananggal murders? We will have to come back and find out more next time when we return for more Apocalypse Keys on so many levels. We will do the end of session
Oh,
moves
many
off stream.
level.
All right. And then I don't have the thing open, so I'm going to have a little bit of vamping before I can press the stop button, which I'll do